Do you brush your teeth? I try to do it twice a day. But have you ever tried cleaning your teeth with your finger? No? Well, people actually did that once. They wrapped a piece of cloth around a finger, added salt, powder, or herbs, and rubbed their teeth by hand. Because the toothbrush we know today, with nylon bristles, appeared relatively recently, only in 1938. Before that, humanity went through a long journey, from chewing sticks and cloth-wrapped fingers to boar bristles, factories, advertising, and the modern culture of daily hygiene. You are watching VERITARA, where we explore the hidden stories behind everyday things. So get comfortable. Today we are not just talking about a piece of plastic with bristles. We are talking about an object that changed human hygiene.
Long ago, people did not have a convenient way to clean their teeth. In ancient civilizations, they used chewing sticks, small twigs with split or chewed ends, which were used to rub the teeth. These practices are often linked to Babylon and Egypt, going back several thousand years before our era. But not every random stick could become a toothbrush. The best ones had a fibrous structure, were not toxic or too hard, had a pleasant or cleaning taste, and in the best cases, even contained substances with antibacterial properties. The most famous natural toothbrush is the miswak. It was made from the Salvadora persica tree. People used the root, branch, or stem, chewed one end, and it turned into something like a tiny natural brush. Different regions use different trees. Neem in India, acacia, olive, walnut, citrus trees, licorice, cinnamon, and other plants. So the choice depended on the region and the plants available there, but it definitely was not just the first dry stick lying on the ground. So, if you ever find yourself in a historical documentary, or let's say in a zombie apocalypse, now you know why people did not just grab any random twig.
You might say, okay, that is interesting, but what about the fingers? Can I throw away my toothbrush and just rub my teeth with toothpaste on my finger? No, and here is why. First of all, it was almost never just a bare finger. More often, people cleaned their teeth with a finger wrapped in cloth. Sometimes they added powder, salt, herbs, or another cleaning mixture. There are historical references to cleaning teeth with an index finger wrapped in fabric. Let's imagine how it worked. A person would take a piece of cloth, usually something like linen, canvas, or a rough napkin, wrap it around a finger, and mechanically rub the teeth and gums. The idea was simple. The fabric worked like a soft abrasive. It removed part of the plaque, food particles, and freshened the mouth better than simply rinsing with water. You could say it was something between a modern dental wipe, tooth powder, and a very primitive brush. But how did we get from sticks and cloth-wrapped fingers to the toothbrushes we use today? For that, we need to look at ancient China.
The first toothbrush that looked similar to the modern one appeared in China around 1498. Coarse animal bristles were attached to a handle made of bone or bamboo. Most often, these bristles came from boars. And here is the detail that makes the modern toothbrush feel like a luxury. For centuries, people cleaned their teeth with animal bristles. They could be stiff, uneven, slow to dry, and not very hygienic. In other words, the object that was supposed to clean your mouth could itself be not that clean. Later, toothbrushes began to appear in Europe, but at first, they were not an everyday item you could buy anywhere. Before industrial production, a toothbrush was more like a handmade object, a handle made of bone, wood, or another hard material, and bristles made from animal hair. It was harder and more expensive to produce. Around 1780, William Addis in England began mass-producing toothbrushes. That was when the object slowly started turning from a strange novelty into a real consumer product. But as often happens, even if your product is useful and well-made, that is not enough. You still have to convince people that they actually need it. In the United States, the first toothbrush patent was granted to H.N. Wadsworth in 1857, and mass production of toothbrushes in America began around 1885. So the toothbrush already existed, it was being produced, and it was being sold, but it still was not as normal and universal as it is today. The real turning point came in the 20th century. Until 1938, toothbrushes were mostly made with natural bristles, but they had obvious problems. They could scratch the gums, wear out quickly, dry poorly, and were less hygienic. In 1938, the company DuPont began commercial production of toothbrushes with nylon bristles. One of the first of these was Dr. West's Miracle Toothbrush. This mattered because nylon made it possible to produce bristles that were more uniform, cheaper to manufacture, and suitable for a mass market. In other words, the toothbrush became not only useful, but also convenient, accessible, and more hygienic. But the material was only half of the story. For the toothbrush to become truly widespread, people needed to build the habit. And this is where toothpaste companies, advertising, dentists, and new ideas about health all played their part. Toothpaste manufacturers benefited from people brushing their teeth regularly. After all, if every home had a toothbrush, then every toothbrush needed toothpaste. So advertising began selling not just a cleaning product, but an entire idea. Clean teeth meant beauty, fresh breath, attractiveness, and self-care. Over time, the message changed even more. Brushing your teeth was not only about having a beautiful smile, but also about protecting your health. In the United States, World War II also played an important role. Soldiers became used to brushing their teeth as part of daily discipline, and when many of them returned home, they brought that habit back into civilian life. So the Army did not invent toothbrushing, but it helped turn it into a regular, almost automatic daily action.
And that is how the toothbrush became what it is today, a small object that quietly stands in the bathroom, but without which it is hard to imagine a normal morning. So now you know the story of such a small yet essential toothbrush. Today it seems so ordinary that we barely notice it, but behind this tiny object is a long history. From twigs in ancient civilizations to animal bristles, nylon, factories, advertising, and the modern culture of daily hygiene. This was VERITARA, and here we tell the hidden stories behind everyday things.